In the Galilee. And today's the 24th of October. And we're having somewhat cool weather. Let's take a look at that. Let's straighten this cables on. Oops. All right. That should be the end of the problem. Okay. I got to use a repeater here to get a good signal for some reason. All right. So today is October 24. It's almost 5 minutes to 8 in the morning. And our weather is a little unseasonably warm. Very slightly. It's 70 degrees and it's going to be 86 today, but just briefly for 2 or 3 hours in the middle of the day. And then tomorrow we go down to a high of 83, and it stays around there for quite a while. And then it drops at the end of next week to the high 70s, and it goes to the lower 80s next week. So these are nice days usually. This time of year, and we just hope that this season lasts a long time, because it sometimes doesn't. It used to be I would expect the cold and the rain around Thanksgiving, but for some years we've had it go well into December, so we just gotta see. When it gets cold and rainy and miserable here, believe me, it's rainy and miserable. Okay, so today we've got a number of things to talk about. Trump has made serious threat to Israel about the West Bank, and we'll get into that. And the Iranian generals and Khomeini are in bunkers, and that needs to be talked about. And Putin had recent legislation passed where he can activate 2 million Russian reservists without being in a time of war, and he could deploy them in special operation areas, which would be Ukraine. That was all put into this new law. And Medvedev, who's a reasonably high-ranking official in the Russian government, used to be the president once upon a time, he very carefully said, America is at war with Russia. He didn't say Russia's at war with America. And I believe he was referencing the latest round of sanctions Trump has been imposing. Now, I did not know that Russia has 2 million reservists. Now, this means these soldiers have been through training, and they're not, you see, if they weren't already through training, then they would be draftees or new inductees. These guys have already been trained. So what can he do with them? Well, wars today are fought with aircraft, missiles, bombs, drones, to some extent tanks and stuff, but foot soldiers are way, way, way the heck irrelevant compared to, say, World War II or Vietnam or the Korean conflict. Way, way, way different. Okay. The war with Iraq, which was almost 40 years ago, 35 years ago or something, was, a lot of tanks and planes, but this is different. This is going to be a lot of, if it comes, a lot of drones and a lot of missiles. a lot of missile defense systems and so forth. Okay. Um, so if one side has, 2 million drones that can be used as attack drones, they've got a marked advantage over the others. You know, so that's basically the kind of things we're seeing. Um, and let me go into the live stream and make sure we have a live stream. What I'm trying to do, and I'm doing this on a more or less daily basis, is I'm trying to debunk a lot of the fear porn that is being broadcast on the internet. And a lot of it is based in reality, like Putin can call up 2 million reservists, but he hasn't done it. And they're telling you that he's definitely going to go ahead and do it, but he hasn't done it yet, you see. And the Iranian generals, not all of them, but some of them are in the ground hiding in bunkers, but that's been going on for a few weeks. But anyway, let me get into the live stream, make sure everything's okay, and then we'll get into these stories. And I am taking great pains to make sure that we're not getting into, crazy fear things about this, that we're doing it, based on what's going on. Now, there's no doubt about it that these events are concerning, but it doesn't mean we're going into war. But we'll talk about war and Trump momentarily in a few minutes. Now, there were several, I think it was 2 B-1 bombers flying near the Caribbean coast of Venezuela, but they didn't, as far as we know, they didn't go into Venezuela airspace, and we don't know what's going on. Okay. In my estimation, what Trump's going to begin doing is attacking cartel facilities. There's been a lot of fighter jets, private jets, take off and leave Venezuela. These are the crooks and the government and all that. They're, they're going to go sit this one out someplace. Okay. And they don't want to sit there and get arrested by the Americans either if they do come in, which is a strong possibility that they might. But this thing appears to be more or less focused on drugs and drug cartels. So I'm not so sure that we're going to see that invasion. Now, I know Trump mentioned it, but he mentioned, basically gave the CIA authorization to get rid of Maduro, which is a far cry from a ground invasion. It's more of a, getting the people in Venezuela to vote him out of office or throw him out of office or something like that, more than having an invasion. Okay, give me a second. All right. Someone asked me about Kabbalah. What is Kabbalah? It's basically got a different. It's a very evil book. Okay, I would no sooner read it than I would read the Tibetan Book of the Dead. It's a stupid book. It's about stupid values and theories and idiocy. It's also a witchcraft book, But the Kabbalists don't teach you how to do the witchcraft in the book per se. They got other things in the book, okay? But when you get involved with them and after you study the book and they like you and you get brought into Satan's web and you're destined for the lake of fire, then they'll teach you how to go around and do the curses and stuff like that. The spells, enchantments, and witchcraft. It's a very, very evil book. The problem you have with the rabbis is they call it Torah. It's no more Torah than the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Okay? Yet they call it that. Okay, so basically call it a witchcraft book and just ignore it. They go around door to door, at least they used to, I don't know, in various cities, they'll knock on your door and say, do you want to learn Kabbalah? And then they'll pull you in. It's usually Orthodox. The ultra-Orthodox don't generally recruit the Orthodox. Well, so anyway, it's not worth worrying about, you know. All right, so I'm going to do some praise, being a Bible-believing site, Old and New Testament. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 All right. So let's start going through some of these things, and let's, you know, there is some, let's say these are concerning things, to put it mildly, but let's not fly off the deep end on these things, okay? So Putin recently had a law passed in Russia where he could call up 2 million reservists without actually having to be in a declared war, I guess, because Ukraine is still some sort of a special operation, according to the Russian books on this. So the new law allowed Putin to call up the reservists for a special operation, and they need not be deployed only inside Russia, which I think was the previous legal arrangement. They could be deployed in special operation areas, which could conceivably expand to Latvia, Lithuania, you know, Finland, Sweden, Norway, whatever, right? Romania, Poland, who knows, you know, or not, you know, or maybe just Ukraine. So if he deploys, the Russian military can't deploy 2 million. I mean, they might be able to bring 100, 150,000 a month maximum, I would say, into play. But that's a lot. And then he could try to swarm deeper into Ukraine and, you know, see, his idea would be to conquer Kiev, the capital, or destroy it, and keep pushing Zelensky and his regime back to the west and occupy more and more of Ukraine and try to run Zelensky down. But because NATO doesn't want to see this happening and they're feeding weapons steadily into Ukraine, it doesn't happen. So Trump was talking about tomahawks, which got a range of at least 1,500 miles, and I think it might get more, like even up to 1,800, but let's stay 1,500 or slightly above or something. So these missiles are very dangerous missiles, and they can reach pretty deep inside Russia, and they would be rather useful at destroying military sites, airports, aircraft, missile storage facilities, weapon storage facilities, oil storage facility, oil refineries, vehicles, command centers, anything that would strategically be of importance to the Russian military. It gives Zelensky a much deeper range where he has been reaching out far with drones, but I'm not sure that far at all. Drones are easier to take down than Tomahawk missiles by far, so you use swarms. But you're basically seeing Ukraine and Russia just destroying each other. Now, Satan is trying to stop all the wars it can, the exception being attacking Israel. Or even there, he's backed off, okay? He's backed off on that. The Hamas are telling everybody that they are not going to leave Gaza, and they're not going to demilitarize, and they're not going to stay out of governing Gaza. Now, Trump negotiates like a fool. I'm picking my words. Well, let's not use the word fool. Forgive me, Lord, B'Shem Yeshua Mashiach. An idiot or stupid person, okay? Because he's sitting there, made a written agreement with them, and he doesn't understand what he's dealing with. Even after having all this contact with them, he still, in his thick skull, doesn't understand it. He's way stupider than I thought he was. He's as dumb as Biden and Obama. Believe me, trust me, he's that stupid, okay? That's it. You got to accept that. He's an idiot. Look at his behavior. What good has he done? And you see people, Trump 2028. Now he's cursing Israel. I'm going to get to that. Oh, yeah, he's cursing Israel. And oh, yeah, he's telling Jehovah to go fly a kite. Oh, he is. He is. Now, one of the subscribers told me what the Lord told this person, and this person sent me the exact words that the Lord used to convey this, and this person said the words keep coming back to them. So this is what it said, and it's referencing America. The end of this nation has now begun. Okay, now this person knows it's America because they live in America and all that. Okay, and that's the context, basically, I guess. But it's the daughter of Babylon. It's begun. So we're not in the warning and the threatening stages. We're in the beginning of it. Now, I have no idea under the sun how long this is going to last. Okay? Now, as some of you know, the English Bibles are very bad. All of them, including the King James, 1611, the 1870. I don't care. It's very, very bad. How many words are badly translated on purpose in there? I would say at least 500 in the Old and the New. On purpose. I'm talking on purpose. Okay? In the Wycliffe or the others, I've read them. Same thing. They're all the same. They don't really translate the Hebrew Bible. They all say the same thing. They just tell you they're translating it. They don't know the Hebrew. They just go and do what the previous guys did. And the previous guys go back to Wycliffe in the 1300s, and they didn't know what they were doing. Or they intentionally twisted it, being the Catholic Church, of course, writing these Bibles. So, it's just pathetically badly twisted on purpose. People don't like hearing that. All right. So, I forgot where I was going. But anyway, so we can go back to Trump, and I'll show you how he's defying God. And he is the leader of the daughter of Babylon. Now he might go. How? God might remove him. He might get a heart attack. He might crack up mentally. I don't think he's that stable mentally. I think they got him on meds, but he might crack up. He could do a number of things. They could impeach him. Anything could happen. I don't know. Someone could assassinate him. Any of these things. I have no idea. But maybe not. Maybe yes. Then you would have Vance. Vance is a pagan. He's a Catholic, a devout Catholic, a pagan. He likes praying to statues and stuff and praying to some woman they call the mother of Yeshua, you know, which is absurd. It's probably Colombia. I don't know what the heck it is. I don't even care. It's pagan. All right, so Trump's a pagan, you know. All right, so let's keep going. Trump said that if Israel goes through with annexing the West Bank, and when Vance was here, the Knesset voted to expand their control over the West Bank, which is like annexing it, I guess, in their minds, which would maybe push the Mahmoud Abbas out of business, the Palestinian Authority. I don't know all the details on that, to be honest with you. But the laws in the Knesset goes through 3 readings. The first reading happened, it passed. Now they usually can do 2 more readings in a few days. So if they want to pass 2 more readings next week, it's easy for them to do it. Now they can change wording and see if it still passes in the vote or keep it the same. And okay, so that could be the end of next week or sometime next week. And then it would become a law, and that would, okay, so what Trump is saying, if we did do that, and it already passed the first reading, if we did do that, he would withdraw all his support for Israel. Okay, so what do we glean from that? Number one, you can be a member of the ostrich club that says Trump 2028. You're perfectly free to do that. You got to be a moron to do it, but you're perfectly free to do that. Okay? And just put your head in the ground and make believe everything's okay. Trump is going against the Bible. It's Samaria and Judea, not the West Bank. It's Israel's land. It's not Muslim land. Okay? It's Israel's land, predating the Muslims. The Muslims came along around 600 A.D. A.D. After Yeshua's time on earth, right? 600 years or so, they started. So Israel had the land. Obviously, it's our land. And he wants us to not annex it. Okay? Great. What a great president. Does he fear God? No. Does he mock God? Yes. Does he think Satan, his God, is more powerful than God? Unbelievable. Yes. And will he walk in it? Yes. And will he meet his destruction in that? Yes. Will he be destroying America in this path he's on? Yes. Is it written in the Bible? Yes. Jeremiah 50 and 51 and Isaiah 47. The guy's off the rails. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's going against God. He's telling us we can't annex our own land. He's just like all the other heathen. Okay? And he will turn against us, and he will do bad things against us. And maybe now, God willing, it's progressed to this level. I sincerely hope it has. I sincerely hope he starts doing evil to Israel today, because that just means our redemption is coming closer. And I believe the scripture that all things work together for good for those that love the Lord. And I love the Lord. And I'm ready and willing to see these things happen without any problems. I look forward.
What's your password again?
I'm on the air. I'll have to come out and give it to you. Excuse me. What? Did you get to that Xbox screen? How did you get to that? Yeah, but when you try to pay, you'll see. Maybe they fixed it. I hope so. Wait, let me tell you something. The expired credit card is in there with the good Israeli credit card. The good Israeli credit card. You can just leave it alone. They'll call me. I'll give you the right credit card. The delivery time has a 2-hour variance. Don't. If I were you, I wouldn't pick a delivery time after 3 o'clock. Well, they'll come at 10. They come at 10 o'clock at night, you know. My wife seems to think she mastered the supermarket. I don't know. She thinks they changed the screen that was causing the problem, maybe. So there's people doing the fear porn that Russia's calling up 2 million reserves and the world's coming to an end. And guys, Russia can't call up 2 million at the same time. They can't do anything like that. Giving them the benefit of the doubt, 150,000, 200,000. Would take them probably a year to call up. They call them up, they got to give them orders. Yes.
Monday in the middle of the day, my order is coming.
Fine.
You're welcome.
What happens is they got to give them orders. They got to report. Then they got to show up at a base. They got to get a brief period of indoctrination where they're probably going to have to requalify with whatever equipment and guns and things they do, radios, whatever. It might be 10 days, it might be 30 days, it could even be 45 days, probably more around 30 days. And then they go out and they get active. But they got to have uniforms. They got to have a place they're going to deploy them. They got to have equipment for them, barracks, medical weapons, you know. It's not magical. It takes planning, and Russia is not that big. I don't think America could ever. Maybe America could handle 200,000 a month or something. That's about it. I'm not even sure they could get that many. During Vietnam, the military was completely full house, activated everything. And they were, I think once Johnson tried calling up 300,000 inductees. I don't think they ever did that again. That's different than activating reservists, but he could try taking reservists and putting them in combat in 3 days. I mean, you know, could do that. That'd be pretty desperate, and he could lose a lot of manpower, but he could do it. He could do it. So, it doesn't mean that he's going to do it and march into a war. Putin cannot take on NATO. He'll get killed. He can't even handle Ukraine. He'll get killed. He needs China, North Korea, and Iran to go to work with him and start wars with America. Now, why is the Iranian generals and Khomeini living in bunkers? Now, not every general, just a lot of them. And it's been going on for weeks because they're afraid they're going to be attacked. Because they're giving everybody the drop dead about the nuclear facilities. And they're continuing with their nuclear facilities even in spite of the snapback sanctions. It appears to me that China, North Korea, Iran, Russia, and probably Cuba, Venezuela, Belarus, and others, Muslim states, South American countries, and South Africa and other places, have come to the conclusion that the best way to get rid of America is through BRICS and bust America out financially. And that'll bring America to terms, and they can control America, rather America no longer controlling them. And that's what Trump has to stop. And his two big opportunities to stop this is Russia and Iran, because they sell a tremendous amount of oil and natural gas through BRICS in non-US currency, bypassing the SWIFT system. And that's a threat with BRICS. So Iran is likely going to get attacked. And that's in prophecy, Jeremiah 49. It's called Elam, E-L-A-M. It probably also includes Iraq, even. And Trump is using the puppet state of Ukraine to attack Russia and knock out the oil facilities. Okay? That's what's going on. And Trump got scared with Russia saying that if you give those long-range missiles to Ukraine, that basically Putin was insinuating we're going to go to war because he knows how devastating those missiles are going to be to him and his country. And Trump got scared. Now, Trump still has millions of sleeper agents in the United States. Like it or lump it, they're there. They had a car ramming yesterday at, I guess, an ICE facility or where ICE agents were deployed, and 3 ICE agents were hit by this car rammer who came from Kuwait, and Kuwait is a Muslim majority country. Kuwait is a pig dictatorship, and it's a lousy, stinking, discriminatory country that America protects with about 5,000 soldiers in there on bases. Now, let me give you an example of how bad Kuwait is. First, we'll start with how many synagogues and churches there are in Kuwait. I'm going to put the air conditioning up. I don't know how many. I suspect it's 0. I would be surprised if it was not 0. But we'll have our answer in a few minutes. So I ran the artificial intelligence. It's good for this type of research. All right. I don't use it to research prophecy or interpret Bible or anything like that. Maybe to find Bible verses. There are 7 officially recognized churches in Kuwait. For the Roman Catholic Church, there are 4 Catholic churches, 1 mission listed in Kuwait City. And then it talks about 5 churches under a particular directory so the Catholics got churches there. According to the State Department, there are no synagogues in Kuwait. No one has ever applied to do one. Historically, there was a Jewish community once upon a time. And a synagogue in the early 1900s. But by the 1920s, the community had largely departed. That's a Sharia law country, so women have no rights to speak of in that country. Non-Muslims have very little right to speak of. Their testimony is worth half that of a Muslim. Gay people have no rights there. So this supporting Kuwait is an absolute contradiction to American values. It is not a democracy, it's a pig dictatorship. And not only does America support them, and not only are they an enemy of Israel that America supports, they put troops there to protect them. Unbelievable. And now a Kuwaiti ran over 3 ICE agents. Surprise, surprise. No, not really. Why would I be surprised over something like that? Like it's expected, I think, Terrible thing. Terrible place, terrible leaders, terrible people, and it's our land. So we already have the West Bank, and now Trump is telling us we don't. And if you annex it, I'm pulling all my support from you. So what'll happen then? The UN, they'll file, whoever, France, UK, they'll file motions at the Security Council to force Israel to leave Gaza and say it belongs to Hamas and leave them alone, to pull out of the Golan Heights on the Syrian side and give that to Giuliani, the ICE Al-Qaeda guy. And they'll tell us that the West Bank doesn't belong to us and we have to get out of there. That means you've got a good 500,000 Jews living there that have to leave. That's what they'll do. And Trump will let it go. I don't think he'll veto it. I think he'll abstain and it'll pass. And they'll make it enforceable. And maybe that's what brings us to Zechariah 12. I hope it happens tomorrow. Today. I can't wait for that to happen. You should be that way too. I can't wait. If it happened tonight, I'd be elated. That means the end is coming. God's going to let their iniquity go to the fullest so their punishment can be to the fullest. The fact that Trump is threatening us is beginning to look good, but Trump may not go through with it. Now, Netanyahu probably told Trump. Trump made a public announcement and said, don't worry, Israel's not going to do anything. That would mean to me that Netanyahu guaranteed Trump it wouldn't happen. But Netanyahu is not that well respected in Israel. He's a piece of garbage. I call him the curse on Israel. So you see, this cursing of Israel has to come to an end. It's not going to go forever and ever and ever. And life here is getting horrible. Now let's talk about some of the success that Netanyahu has had in promoting Satan's agenda. Nobody talks like this publicly, do they? I do. I'm going to give you some statistics. I'll just give them to you basic. Well, I wrote them down. Let me give them to you. I can do it. In 2023, 18,000 Israelis left Israel long term. Now, 2023, October 7 is when the war started. Now, that means you basically had October, November, December, they lost 18,000. The next year, 2024 they lost 80,000. Now the 18,000 didn't come back, so that brings you to 98,000. Let's round it out to 100,000. And then we don't have any statistics from the government for 2025. But with the Iran missile attack and other things, I would say it would be a rather safe assumption that you lost another 100,000, and I'm just being conservative. That brings it to 200,000. Now, the government figures are not being revealed because 2025 is not over. Now, it could be 250,000 in 2025. I don't know. But figures from media, and they get their figures, I don't know where, are saying it's 550,000. Okay? I don't know what the real figure is. I would say at least 250,000. Now, before I forget, I have a prayer request for AL, Alpha Lima AL, Alpha Lima AL. Pray for a new rental house. Alpha Lima needs a new rental house. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah in heaven, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, I pray for AL to get a new good deal on a rental house. A nice house at a good deal, fair price. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you all can agree. So after Vance left, they sent Marco Rubio over here right away. They're freaking out in America over this vote. So Rubio is coming over here to get this to stop. So he's going to tell Israel about the mechanics of what will happen if they go through with it. Iran is basically going through a long-term deal of being very, very stressed over there because they have these sanctions and lots of problems with their economy. They're in rather bad shape. It would be an honest assumption to say that. And they're afraid of getting attacked. Now, what Trump doesn't like is Trump wants the first thing I didn't tell you is Vance did state that what Israel did voting over this West Bank thing while Vance was here, Vance said it was an insult. Now, Vance is a relatively young guy. He was born around 1984. And I don't think he's a very bright individual. Okay. So back to the people leaving Israel. They're telling us 80,000 new apartments remain unsold in Israel. Okay, 80,000. So real estate is starting to drop, but it's far from anywhere approaching normal. And you see, that would tell me that the amount of people leaving Israel is very substantial. And that's Netanyahu's goal. Don't kid yourself. He wants to tell Satan, look, I got rid of 250,000 Jews in Israel. They left. Aren't I a good servant, Satan? You know, this is basically what you're dealing with. I can't literally say that I hear him do that and I know it, but I believe it's what's going on. That's my opinion, of course. Um, and you know, this is his war. He went and had a meeting with Biden. September 23rd. Biden wouldn't want to talk to Netanyahu, ignored him. And then all of a sudden in September he says, yeah, Netanyahu could come here anytime he wants. September 23rd, Netanyahu goes there. Then October 7th, we have this war. And Israel drops all their guard. Netanyahu thwarts any independent investigation of what happened. Come on, we know what happened. At least 1 million people in Israel know the same thing I know. And they know who did what. So US B-1 bombers were flying around the Caribbean area of Venezuela, and they didn't violate his airspace in Venezuela, and they didn't bomb anything, and they just went back, I think, to Texas, wherever they were coming from. But we don't know what exactly they were up to. Trump did authorize the CIA to unseat Maduro, the dictator running the illegitimate government in Venezuela. But that doesn't mean he's going to do a ground invasion and eject them. What he's doing is he's sinking the drug boats and trying to stop the flow of drugs. I think that's sincerely what he's doing. And he's probably going to attack the cartels in Venezuela by air, which would mean drones, missiles, and aircraft, and blow up their fields where they would be growing opium, cocaine, and factories where they might be making ecstasy, speed, and other drugs, and storage facilities. And they're multi-billion-dollar enterprises, so they have offices, and they have facilities, and they have vehicles, and forklifts, and warehouses, and communications, and computers, and they keep books and records, and banking and all of this stuff, okay? So, a good cartel is making, 500 million, 2 billion, 3 billion a year. They got a big operation, okay? They don't keep the money in suitcases under the bed like a street corner dope dealer, there's a big operation. Now, there's a big problem brewing in America right now concerning food stamps, particularly the funding for supplemental nutrition and assistance program. They call it SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition and Assistance. What is it? No, let's see. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That's it. SNAP. They call these things food stamps, and they get them on a benefit card, like a debit card. They can spend them on. They don't normally give them the stamps anymore. When I was younger, and people were on them, you actually had a little booklet of stamps, and you go to the store and hand them to the teller, the cashier at the supermarket. So let me give you a breakdown because of the funding problem in America. they may cut the food stamps. It looks like the food stamps aren't going to fund in November. Now, people have written articles stating that certain categories of people that get food stamps are going to go to the supermarkets in the parking lot and rob the people's baskets after they pay for the groceries and go into the car. Well, that's easier said than done. In many states in America, people have guns, and as soon as this starts to happen, the people will just walk to the car with their hand in their pocket on their gun. That's all. And the people that do this are normally going to be felons, and they're going to not have guns because if the police come, they're going to get hit with extra heavy penalties because they were felons using a gun in the course of a crime against persons. And instead of going to jail for 2 or 3 years for something like this, they may go to jail for 25 years. And the supermarkets are going to hire off-duty police and security guards to make sure this doesn't happen in the parking lot. It's not going to go. That's not going to happen. Protests, riots, and demonstrations, that'll happen. Maybe looting supermarkets would happen. Okay. SNAP program, okay, is run by United States Department of Agriculture. Here's the two major issues. Risk from the government shutdown because of the ongoing federal funding impasse, the shutdown of payments. The USDA has warned that SNAP benefits payments may not be issued in November if Congress fails to take action. So as it stands now, the food stamps are not going to fund next month. Unless something changes, which it may or may not. States are already notifying recipients that November benefits may be paused. The USDA has a contingency fund of about $5 billion, which is roughly 60% of 1 month's typical payout and benefits. So it's insufficient. Now, they could do that and give people 60% of their money. At least they'd have something. That would be likely what they would do. And the chances of a shutdown continuing into December, I would say, would be rather minimal. If this thing with the food stamps happens, Trump is going to be held responsible. I can assure you, I'm not saying Trump is the one that's responsible. I don't think he is, but they'll hold him and the administration responsible, and there'll be severe protests and demonstrations with throwing things, fires, and they may decide to start, breaking into supermarkets in mass amounts. organizers can rally them together, and if they get 3,000 people or 5,000 people to go to a particular supermarket, they don't need that many. They only need about 300 or 400 really. It's just start going into the supermarket at the same time and picking stuff up and carrying it out. That's that. It'll happen. And it'll drain the supermarket dry. And then the supermarkets may be afraid to restock because it'll happen again. And they'll just shut down. Some supermarkets have insurance. Many just self-insure. They're not going to keep restocking and opening up the place for it to happen every day. As soon as it starts happening, they'll probably find some sort of a way to deal with it by funding. I don't know. The military, the people that are supposed to be out of the military, leaving the military during this shutdown, economic shutdown, have had their enlistments postponed for 45 days because when they leave, they get their settlement check, which would be, I guess, vacation pay they didn't use or anything, coming to them other than salary and as well as their salary. And they wouldn't be able to get their money, so they're just staying in because the military gets paid during these periods, so they're just keeping them in the military for 45 days and they'll get their money that way. Otherwise they're afraid they're going to turn them loose and they'll be broke or something. So maybe they're keeping them in for 45 days because they're expecting a lot of riots. I don't know. So there's a lot of scare events. The Iranian generals and Khomeini in underground bunkers is definitely a scare event, but it doesn't mean much entirely, but it does mean something, okay? Things are not good, okay? Putin passing the law to call up the 2 million doesn't mean that Putin's gonna go declare war on Trump, but it could mean that. And again, it's concerning, and it could have very bad ramifications. And flying the B-1 Lancer jets near Venezuela doesn't mean that Trump's going to full-on attack Venezuela and send troops in on the ground and overthrow Maduro. But it certainly points us in there as a possibility, right? Okay. And this thing with the food stamps doesn't mean they're not going to come in real quick between now and November 1. And so we got a lot of potential big problems. The Washington Post said something, I believe, about Trump attacking Venezuela. And Trump did make an announcement to the allies in the Caribbean that things were going to escalate. But again, that doesn't mean he's going to completely take on Venezuela. It might mean he's just going to attack the drug cartel operations. We don't know. So we got to be conservative about this, okay? Trump is, in this administration he's in now, this term, he's adamantly anti-war and afraid of wars. So I'm not really thinking that Trump's going to go attack Venezuela full on. You don't know what's going to happen. So I think he's going to do what would be more of a police action, using the military, of course, against Venezuela. I don't think it's going to be a war, but his problem is predominantly with drug cartels, and he can get rid of the drug cartels without having to do a full invasion of Venezuela. Just bust them out, you know. And a lot of these guys already left in their private jets. So I don't know where they went. I'm sure America knows, but I don't know. But they got rid of them, you know. They got them. So it looks like they're running away, you know. They're running away, and that's good. So he could bust them up, you know, he could. But this thing with the food stamps, guys, I can't tell you on a 10 scale, 10 being the worst. This is a 9. If they let this go through, now people in the government that hate Trump, like the Democrats, they might tell Trump that if he doesn't stop Israel, they're going to let the food stamp thing blow up and have riots in America to get rid of him. Maybe they don't tell him anything. They just want to get rid of him. They don't care about Israel. And they just use this to cause riots and then try to impeach him, even though it's not his fault. It could happen. The Democrats in the Senate all came to Trump and wrote him a letter and signed it that they don't want any annexation of the West Bank. So that's why I'm thinking that it might be the Democrats trying to play this game on Trump. It's always a possibility. I don't know. So if anybody has questions, I could take questions. Let me check. Now, you got to understand that Israel, this thing with Israel and America is in critical state right now because Israeli Knesset, that's our Congress, has already passed this bill on the first reading. There's 2 more readings. They're generally not going to do a reading on Friday. They could, but I don't think so. Hey, let me take a look. I think I can get that information. Let's see if artificial intelligence can get that. Okay. Let's see if they've announced the next reading of the bill, we'll get there. We'll get it. No, they can't get an announced date. There's no they might have a date, but it hasn't been publicly announced. I'm sure Netanyahu's having sidebars with them and telling them, oh, we're going to lose Trump, blah, 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 blah. We're going to lose Trump. Look what that schmuck did to us already. And the people here think he's great. And the Americans that go to church, they sit there, Trump 2028. Trump hates Jehovah. Trump hates Israel. Trump hates Yeshua. Don't you see it? You don't see it. Oh my gosh. He's your enemy. What is Trump? I mean, where do I start? Hamas has violated Trump's ceasefire terms blatantly. Okay? Blatantly. He doesn't do anything. He threatens them. No Muslim terrorists pay attention to Trump's threats anymore. They're so watered down, nobody takes them seriously. Nobody. He's doing nothing. They're genociding their enemies in Gaza. It looks like Trump's letting them continue genociding their enemies. They, on numerous occasions, from the high-ranking officials of Hamas, we have no intention of giving up our weapons. We have no intention of leaving Gaza. Well, that was not in the peace plan. We have no intentions of disarming. That was in the peace plan. So, what do they have intentions of doing? What? Staying in Gaza and making trouble. This is what they said. They said, well, we are interested in a real serious ceasefire for 3.5 to 5 years. Can we believe them? A few days ago, they told us that they were going to do this ceasefire and signed it. Then right after that, they broke their word. So we should believe them on the next one. They'll do it again. Why won't they? We're dumb enough to let them do it. Why shouldn't they keep breaking it? You got it? That's how these Muslims think. These terrorists said that's how they think. Trump hasn't figured it out yet. Vance comes over here and says, oh, Israel insulted me. Look, you moron. The Hamas insulted you, you jerk. They signed a peace deal with you and then 2 days later went back on it. And you tell us we insulted you, you flaming moron? Okay? That's what you're dealing with. Anti-Israel. By all their actions, not their words, they're going to leave Hamas there, and they're going to leave Hamas militarized with weapons. Trump's idea of getting rid of their weapons is to raise a conglomeration of countries to put together an army other than the United States, of course, of like 20,000 soldiers to go into Gaza, build bases, and enforce the peace deal. But they can't if they don't demilitarize Gaza. You can't put these soldiers in because you're going to have a lot of deaths. So the little old woman in the shoe who didn't know what to do is Trump, and he don't know what to do. So he's sitting there going, blah, 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 blah. He's stupid. Understand he's stupid. Okay? He doesn't know what to do. Maybe he knows real estate and building buildings. Maybe he knows that stuff. But he certainly doesn't know how to do these things. He botched Iran like crazy. He botched Yemen. He doesn't do it. What has he done right in world affairs? Name one thing. He's got so many people hating America right now, it's not even funny. He's made a mess out of Russia and Ukraine. Okay? He's meeting Xi Jinping in China soon. You think, oh, Xi Jinping will sit down and talk with him. He don't care. They'll roll out a red carpet for the guy. They'll give him a big mansion to stay in if he wants to sleep there, which I doubt he ever will. And they'll feed him. I don't know if he's going to eat their food or not. And they'll talk to him and they'll respect him and everything else. And then when he leaves, they're going to do what's good for China. And he's going to sit there and say, well, you know, guys, don't want to put 100% tariff on you. I want things to work out better between us. And they'll say, sure, Trump, just reduce the tariffs. See? Now, why do I keep saying that Satan is pushing the world leaders for peace? Okay, let me give you the countdown. And of course, I keep telling you, the reason Satan is doing this is because in Satan's stupid mind, he's afraid of wars because there's a lot of spiritual warfare taking place against his people, and he doesn't know what the outcome of these wars are going to be, and he doesn't want to rock the boat. So he's scared, and he's even now so scared he wants the Israel war stopped. The leaders of Hamas are not Muslims. Are you nuts? They're Satan bots impersonating Muslims. They're not. You think they're really Muslims? Come on. No, like Trump's not a Satan bot. He's a real Christian. Are you kidding me? Vance is a real Catholic. He's not a Satan bot. What, are you serious? You don't know nothing if you believe that stuff. Okay, so we had fighting between Pakistan and Afghanistan. That quieted down. We had fighting between Pakistan and India. They quieted that down. We had Yemen, Hamas out of the clear blue sky just about decided to sign a peace deal and actually give the hostages back to get the water stopped. And they're not interested in going back to war. They're interested in peace and rebuilding Gaza. That's your peace and safety. Okay? Iran, they're not shooting missiles at anybody. Peace and safety. Trump's not really waging war on Venezuela. He's doing more or less a police action against Venezuela using the military. That's what it looks like. And he's got extremely little possibility of a war breaking out by doing that. But it is end times, and you never know. And at the end, the nations will be destroyed by Jehovah, likely like Sodom with fire and brimstone. That's Jeremiah 30 verse 11 and Jeremiah 46 verse 28. And the church never teaches that. All the nations that he scattered the Israelites into will be destroyed. And that's for now, and it hasn't happened yet. And that's just about every nation. I don't know what kind of noise that is out there. Let's see if it goes away. It's some sort of vehicle. I don't know what's going on. It sounds like somebody started something up and they're probably going to go away. They don't do a lot of construction work on Friday in Israel. Normally they knock it off Friday and Saturday. The 2 days off in Israel for a lot of people has evolved into Friday and Saturday, no work. So Friday is the day they would do their shopping. Of course, you could, I mean, when you're talking in the short days in the winter, where it gets dark a little after 5 o'clock, the stores are going to probably stay open till 3 o'clock. But in the long summer days, they might stay open till 5 or 6. So, and then Saturday, everything is pretty much closed in Israel, so you don't do anything. And the Sabbath doesn't really start until Friday evening. But the banks close on Friday, a lot of things. I don't know if I think the post office are open in the morning. It used to be like a lot of businesses, you'd go to work Friday and you'd get off at lunchtime and go home, and that was it. That was the end of your work day. So it was a half a day, a little less actually. In the old days, I used to buy we didn't have internet, we didn't have any cable TVs, so I used to buy the Jerusalem Post weekend edition. And I'd read that on Shabbat, and I'd buy a few things for Shabbat, like fresh bread and a couple of things, not much. And that would be it for Shabbat. I better shut that window. I don't know what's... The guy next door could be building his palace again and have some sort of machine over there. I don't know what the heck is going on. So there's been a marked... We don't see China threatening Taiwan anymore. Taiwan doesn't wake up in the morning with Chinese warships encircling them and planes flying over their airspace or near their airspace. Nothing. That stopped. North Korea is not moving troops over by the border of South Korea and testing new missiles anymore. That stopped. You getting the picture? The only thing that hasn't stopped is Ukraine and Russia, and Satan's trying to get that to stop. But Putin and Zelensky are not, apparently they're not listening well enough. And Trump keeps trying to get it to stop. He tries threatening them. He tries having meetings with them. And, the meeting in Hungary fell apart. That's not happening. Hungary made an announcement and said, I'm not going to enforce the International Criminal Court arrest warrant against Putin. Putin could come here. Trump's got harebrained ideas. Something like Wile E. Coyote would think up about how to run Gaza, and Kushner, that idiot, is getting involved, and they're going to make Gaza a very dangerous place for Israel. And what does Trump want for Israel? He wants the Abrahamic Accords. Now, let me tell you what the Abrahamic Accords are biblically. The land of Israel, Genesis 15. The Lord says, by covenant, let me read it to you. Let me get into the actual scripture and read it to you. And it's right in your own Bible. And if you, after I read this to you and you support Trump, shame on you. You're supporting an enemy of your God. If Jehovah and Yeshua really are your God, you're supporting enemies of your God. And if you think that's a good thing to do, you're nuts. What verse? That's a good thing. Let's try 16. Let's try 7. Genesis 15:17. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. And in the same day, Jehovah made a covenant. That word in Hebrew is a brit, and it means a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. Now, it says in Romans that the promises were not made to seeds of many, but seeds of one, which is Yeshua, seed of one. So it applies to the Israelites that are going to be and that are in Yeshua and will be in Yeshua. If they don't want to go and have Yeshua as their Messiah, they're not going to be there, of course. Okay, so let's talk about the land. From Egypt, from the river of Egypt, that would be the Nile, to the great river, the Euphrates. And it goes on and names these groups: the Canaanites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, which is Turkey, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaims, and the Ammonites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. Okay, so when you look at it with the land, it will put it into modern lingo for the countries. You go into Africa with the Nile River, so you have everything in Egypt to the right hand or the east of the Nile, and that would also be the same with the east of the Nile for Sudan, South Sudan, Kenya, and Uganda. That would include Somalia, Djibouti, Ethiopia, and Eritrea. Then we go across the Red Sea to the Middle East, and it includes Saudi Arabia, Yemen, although Yemen is Edom in the Bible and it gets destroyed and nobody ever lives there, but what good would it do us, right? Then it involves Jordan, which is Moab and Ammon, and Moab is destroyed, and that's middle and southern Jordan. Ammon is northern Jordan, the capital, and they submit to Israel, and everything goes rather well for them. All of Lebanon, Syria to the west of the Euphrates River, the left-hand side or the west. Iraq, again, to the west of the Euphrates River, and Turkey to the west of the Euphrates River, which is about 2/3 of Turkey. And when you add all this up, it's about 100 times big. Oh, it also includes Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, and Oman, and that's about it. And that's about 100 times bigger than the land of Israel now. It's just a little strip we have now. This is a huge piece of land. If it's not 100 times, maybe it's 64 times or 88 times. It's huge, you know. I can't say it's a literal actual 100 times, but it's much, 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 much bigger. Okay, now these are the Arab oil producing countries that are sitting on this land. And they're pumping the oil out of Israel territory. Okay? And Trump wants us to be friendly with these people while they worship a false god, sitting on our land, pumping our oil, and getting extremely wealthy. And we're supposed to be happy and content with them and deny the Bible and deny the covenant that God made with us. So, by Trump's logic, God's a covenant breaker, right? Because he thinks you can just take it away. It says that America's going to do evil in our sight in Jeremiah 50:51. That means they're going to do something bad in Israel. Now, I don't know if that's going to be Trump or Vance or somebody else. Vance is, I tell you right now, an idiot supreme. Inexperienced, young, and an idiot. And if something happens to Trump and he takes over, it's going to be doom and gloom for Israel. He has no, I mean, he doesn't care a thing about God or anything like that. You know, he's completely taken with Satan and thinks that, you know, when they killed Yeshua, you know, they killed God or some sick thing that Satan tells him. And he thinks he's just doing great, you know, working with Satan. See, as long as they maintain their people in power, they don't worry. So what's God going to do? He's going to let them stay in power until the day of vengeance. And then, boom. Like it says with the daughter of Babylon, it'll come suddenly in an hour and a day. Just boom. And it's going to take more time for the sleeper agents and the soldiers to loot the place and all that, but the beginning is going to be fast and suddenly. You know, he's getting rid of these, you know, they're going to be gone. Jeremiah 30 verse 11 and Jeremiah 46 verse 28. They're going to be gone. I'll read you Jeremiah 46 verse 28. See, Israel doesn't stay punished forever like most of the churches think. It doesn't work that way. It's not a perpetual punishment. Okay. Fear thou not, O Jacob, my servant, saith Jehovah, for I am with thee. Oh, they never teach that, do they? Trump doesn't know that. I am with thee, for I will make a full end of all the nations whither I have driven thee. But I will not make a full end of thee, but I will punish you and measure. Let me see what this is. Somebody might be telling me to broadcast this in jeopardy. I hope not. No, I don't think so. Let me see what this is. Hold on a minute. Hang on a second. I don't know what this is. My wife sent me something. I wish she wouldn't do that when I'm on the broadcast, but she does. I don't know what it is. It's nothing. This is sent me a stupid announcement. I don't know why. What is she up to? Um, I don't think there's much going on that I need to deal with. Okay. So, um, this land is our land. God made a covenant to give it to us. Okay? And where are the conditions in that covenant? There weren't any. Because he's going to remove our sins in a day, and the nation's going to be born in a day. That didn't happen in 1948. Okay? People, when they're born in a day, they're going to be trembling and scared, and their face will be pale, and they clutch their guts like a woman in travail. In 1948, they were sitting around in the coffee shops listening to the radio, the vote in the UN, smoking their pipes and cigarettes and drinking espresso and having a good time. There was nobody getting scared or anything. Come on. It's a joke. That wasn't 1948. That's a church lie. So, the nation's born again? Why they rejected Yeshua. What are you talking? It was ridiculous, So, they want you to buy a fake Israel. One that listens to curses like Netanyahu and Trump. And that's what they want you to buy. And it's time's up. It's not going to happen. God says he breaks the yoke off our neck. Okay? The nations are no longer going to use us. Okay? It's over for them. They don't know it, and they're never going to know it until it happens. They're never going to believe it until it happens. Never, ever they're going to believe it till it happens. Never. And they're just going to get wiped out. Now, he says he's going to destroy other nations. He's not going to kill all of them, because we read about a lot of them bringing the Israelites, carrying them to Israel as an offering unto the Lord, like the children of Israel carry an animal for an offering or something. And, they're going to bring their wealth and riches and give them to Israel, to the temple, I assume, as an offering to the Lord. So they're going to work here as slaves for Israel. They're never going to believe any of this, because they've had a 2,000-year run. But why is it a 2,000-year run? Why? The church will never teach this to you. There's not one schlep on the internet of these churchianity jerks telling you the truth, but I'll read it to you out of your own Bible. And then you could decide if you want to listen to these jerks that don't tell you anything you need to know. Hosea 6, 1 and 2. Come and let us return unto the Lord. Well, it's obviously they can't tell you that's the church, because it would mean the church has to return to the Lord, and that doesn't make sense for them. So they'll never teach this, because they take all the good things that apply to Israel and they bring it to the church, and all the bad things that are really going to happen to the church, and they put it on Israel, kind of, in a way, not exactly, but come and let us return unto Jehovah, for he hath torn and he will heal us. He hath smitten and he will bind us up. That's Israel. After 2 days, now remember Peter said 1,000 years is like a day unto the Lord, so it's 2 years, it's not 48-hour punishment, okay? After 2 days will he revive us. That's chaya, or chai, bring to life. Not exactly revive, but almost. It's, bring to life. All right. And that's the everlasting life. In the 3rd day, that's the millennium, will he raise us up and he shall live. Raise us up is not a correct way of translating it. In New Jerusalem, you're with Yeshua. And that's what it really means. And we shall live in his sight. You'll be able to see him and he'll see you. as well as the glory of God of Israel. They'll be enthroned there. I'm not so sure they're going to be on an indoor throne. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But you'll have access, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there'll be angels in New Jerusalem. I would expect it. Okay. So the punishment's over in the 2 days, about 2,000 years. Okay? That's it. Go back. When did this happen? When did it start? If it was a precise, actual 2,000 years to the head, to the day or the year or whatever, God would have written it like the Babylonian captivity for 70 years. But he didn't say that. He said 2 days. So I would interpret that as being an approximation of 2,000 years to give you the general range of things, and you're not going to know the day and the hour in that one, because it ends when Yeshua appears and people see him and receive everlasting life, and that is not the return to earth. And that's it. You got to read Zechariah 12, the whole chapter, with 13, and then you got to read Malachi 3 and 4, and you'll get a pretty good idea. And if you want to get a good idea of the destruction of the daughter of Babylon, America, read Isaiah 47 and Jeremiah 50 and 51. And these are the, the big events. America's it's starting to fall apart. It says there'll be ruler against ruler and violence in the land. Now, does the ruler against ruler cause the violence in the land? Possible, but not mandatory, I don't think. And you see that every week you have a few mass shootings. Maybe that's it, or maybe that's way, way, way too small and insignificant. And we're talking about states trying to secede from the Union because they don't like Trump, and Trump stopping them and fighting, and I don't know. But it would seem to me ruler against ruler would be weakening the United States substantially, and that might open the door for the sleeper agents more so. But we're seeing like a Kuwaiti guy ramming ICE agents. They're hurting 3 of them. Well, I mean, is he... I don't know if he was here legally or illegally. Probably illegally, but I don't know. What are they going to do to him? I don't know. Put him in jail. They might just deport him, or they might lock him up and then deport him. I don't know. They'll probably lock him up and then deport him. Not hearing any talk about Trump and stimulus packages for the people. Let me hit artificial intelligence and see if Trump's actually doing anything about that. Let's find out. Because this thing scours the news in seconds. That would take me half a day to do. See if I get anything on it. It's saying they publicly floated the idea of a stimulus-style payments to Americans, but he has not finalized it. he can't finalize it until this, not, where there's no funding in the government, that has to go away. So if that doesn't go away soon, I don't know what he's going to do. Maybe he will do it. I don't know. But I guess he can't because of the funding now. He says he said he was considering giving Americans checks of $1,000 to $2,000, funded via revenues from tariffs. He also said in the past the BOGE savings, he would give some money to the people based on those savings. And that seems to have gone away, but maybe not, but I think it did. And I think Elon Musk wanted to do that to stimulate the economy, and Trump didn't want to because he hates the poor people that aren't Satan butts. Congress would need to pass legislation authorizing stimulus checks, and that hasn't been scheduled. I guess with the shutdown, it's not, they got to get through that first. No, there might not be a stimulus check, I don't know. He's not moving in that area objectively, but I don't think he can with the shutdown. So when the shutdown's over, then they're going to have to start recovering from the shutdown and bringing in funding for things that didn't get funded, like food stamps or whatever. I don't know. So he may not do the stimulus. I don't know. I think they still need to do it. Because they want to have a good Christmas for the merchants, and they want to calm the people down. So they might still do it. I said that if they do it, they would give the money out just before Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving. So the people would be able to buy the turkey and the sweet potatoes and stuff, and then they would be able to go the day after Thanksgiving is Black Friday, where they have all the sales for Christmas, giveaways and lost leaders, and the people would be able to buy their Christmas presents, and that's the weekend you buy your Christmas tree on Thanksgiving. So I think that Trump would do that then. So what I'm saying is, if he's going to give it out, I think he would try to give it out the week of Thanksgiving, but probably starting on that Monday or something. So they have a few days to run out and buy stuff, like Thanksgiving turkey, the Christmas tree, and presents to put under the tree. And that's what I think would go on. If he waits till December 10th or 15th, well, people are going to have trouble. A lot of people buy presents and mail them to other people. They don't send them FedEx, they mail them. And that takes money and time. That takes over Christmas. At least, you got to plan with a package, the cheap postage, 10, 15 days, So I that's what I think he'll do. Okay, if he's going to do it. If he's not going to do it, it just ain't going to happen. I don't think he's going to come out with a package on December 15th, because by the time the people get it and go shopping. A lot of the shopping in the stores is finished. December 15th, everything's sold already. You know, they don't have your size, they don't have your color, they don't have this. You know, it's over. If you start in, December 25th or November 25th, you're going to hit it good. Also, that's when you need to get the good Christmas trees. Then, and maybe for a week after that. You wait too long, you're going to get junk Christmas trees. Of course, they're going to sell them cheaper. You know, the price of the Christmas trees is going to be high Thanksgiving weekend and for the next 2 weeks. But once you start getting to, I don't know, around December 15th, the prices will start coming down. By December 20th, they'll be really down. And December 21st, 22nd, they're going to be $5 or $10 or something, just so the guy doesn't have to haul them away, But most people want the Christmas. I don't have Christmas trees. I wouldn't do it. It's pagan. But most people would want the Christmas trees, at Thanksgiving weekend, the traditional time, so they could have it for a long period of time. Christmas is a satanic holiday. It's very depressing. People commit suicide. Christmas and New Year's, it's a big letdown when the holiday is over. It has a big build up, and then when it's over, it has a big massive letdown. And I'm very happy in Israel we don't have that. We don't do Thanksgiving in Israel. They barely know what it is, and it's just another day. And we don't get to see, thank God, we don't get to see Santa and his reindeer on the roof and in the lawn and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Magic Reindeer. And we don't have the Christmas trees, and we don't have any of that crap. And it's so nice to go. I mean, if you want to escape from the pagan holiday, come to Christmas. You see it in Bethlehem at a Catholic church maybe, or a couple of Catholic churches. The embassies from the other countries will have a Christmas tree, but generally you're really not going to see it at all. I don't see it at all. I don't know. It just doesn't. I've never seen it. People tell me there's things where there are Christmas trees in Israel, but I've never seen one. I don't want to. And December 25th is a regular work day. Let's see what day of the week it is before I say that. November. Yeah, it's a Thursday. It'd be a regular day of the week. There'd be nothing special. The banks, the post offices, the stores, everything, it's a regular work day. Nothing separate, nothing special. Normal. Everything is normal. No problem. Everything's regular. Great. It's a great deal. It's nice. Real nice. And that's what goes on. It's nice. It's a good break. When I lived in America a million years ago, I used to go on cruises to get away from Christmas. Couldn't stand it, Or do other vacations, get away from Christmas and come back when it's over. Another holiday I didn't like was Halloween. What I used to do in Halloween is shut the house up, keep the lights off, and go find something to do for a few hours till it became late and the kids wouldn't come around anymore. Go to the mall or do something and go eat out and just not have to put up with it. And I used to tape the doorbell closed, put all kinds of tape on it so they couldn't ring the doorbell, and just keep ringing the bell. And that's a complete pagan holiday, having to do with ghosts and unclean spirits, and you don't want to have anything to do with that. No, that Halloween is coming up, and You know, when I lived in San Francisco a million years ago, I remembered back in the 80s over there, um, we had a business and I used to decorate it for Halloween because that was the thing to do. I didn't know any better. Probably shouldn't have done it, but we did it. And it was retail. I didn't own it, but I managed it, and the guy wanted it. I don't know. So anyway, I wouldn't do it again. I would have talked him out of it. But the people in San Francisco love that holiday so much that they have Halloween parties for a week or so before Halloween. Because they don't all hold their Halloween party on Halloween because it conflicts with people coming to it. So they'll really start, you know, maybe the 27th or so of October. Some of them will have a party then, and the 28th, 29th, the 30th, the 31st. You know, they vary it, and they give so people can go to their different friends' party. Now, mind you that you know San Francisco is heavily gay populated, heavily. So people don't have a lot of families. That those days are over there. Back in the 70s and even into the 80s, they did, but those days are not really happening very much anymore for most of the people there. So they would go and they'd have many parties for Halloween, so they could all go to multiple parties, and you'd see people going to work dressed weird, you know, with costumes for days. It wouldn't be just one day; it would be for days. You'd see it, you know, people dressing up all kinds of weird. Uh, that was like a huge holiday over there. Then Thanksgiving, that was reasonably big. People would, a lot of people would leave San Francisco for Thanksgiving, go back to families and stuff. Then Christmas in San Francisco was eerie dead. The place just whoop. Now tourists would flood into San Francisco over Christmas. Maybe not the, you know, December 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, not so much. Then it would get real busy. But out, people would leave, and a lot of people that stayed there didn't have a family to go home to, or were rejected from their family, or hated their family, or something like that. It was a very poor time in San Francisco. Everything, there was a frenzy for Christmas shopping that was over on the 24th. And then it got, you know, very desolate, and it was actually depressing. And yeah, they had plenty of suicides there, that's for sure. They had plenty of those, no doubt about it. And it was a real depressing period of time. And the universities would empty out. University of San Francisco would empty. UC Berkeley would empty. Golden Gate would empty. There was one or two others, universities that emptied out. Of course, they would be on Christmas break for 3 weeks. And a lot of businesses would close, and people would take off for 10 days or 2 weeks or something like that. Go someplace where it was warm. San Francisco would be pretty cold on Christmas. It would be pretty cold. It wouldn't be freezing, but you know, it would go to, you could get down to 39, 40, 43 at night with a wind. It'd be pretty uncomfortable, you know. It was the lousiest time of the year to be in San Francisco. You know, if people that could afford it and had the work life would do well to just get out of there around December 17th or 18th and come back on the 27th or the 28th. It filled up again for New Year's, because San Francisco then would get into New Year's parties, but they didn't have New Year's parties for 3 days before New Year's. They only had them on New Year's. So they would come back for the New Year's parties, and they were, you know, the city really got into the swing of the party life again. And then after the parties were over, they got back into the swing of things. So I guess around the 27th, 28th, it started to return to normal. But a lot of people stayed away from New Year's too. And so I think the fortunate people would take. I used to, I used to take vacations. I used to go back east and stuff. So they would take a vacation around, 17th, 18th, someplace in there. They'd go on vacation and get out of San Francisco. Now other places were not like that. Like if you went to, Los Angeles, San Diego, Sacramento, they stayed normal over Christmas, and people didn't empty out at all. As a matter of fact, probably they filled up because relatives would come in and visit, and it was pretty normal. It was just the San Francisco Bay Area got weird. Berkeley got weird because the people would empty out. Marin County got weird because the people would empty out. San Francisco, the people would empty out. Oakland, no, people stayed there. Oakland, Hayward, stuff like that. They stayed there. Down by Silicon Valley, it was pretty normal. San Jose area, pretty normal. Nothing spectacular was going on over there. A lot of people went up to Lake Tahoe. On Christmas, they go skiing. They have a thing called a ski vacation. I could never see this, but people used to do it. I mean, I could see going skiing for a long weekend. Like, you'd go to Tahoe or Mammoth or someplace, and you'd go there for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or, that'd be plenty, I think. How many days do you want to get up and go on the lifts and ski in a row? One day is great. 2 days, oh, you're enjoying the second day because you got back into the swing of it, and then the third day maybe, and then let's go home. Enough's enough, Like, that's enough's enough. Like, if you go to Las Vegas, I mean, going there for 4 days is entirely too much. Going there for 2 is about right. 3 is pushing it, Now, I don't gamble, so. I mean, that's enough for that place. You get tired of it, it's nice when you get there. You got all this great shopping there. They got discount malls. They got a lot of nice places to eat, although now they're very expensive. And you can go see shows. You could see circuses. You could go for free to Circus and just stand around in the gambling area, and you see these trapeze artists and stuff doing stuff overhead that are really quite professional, And they got, depending what kind of show you want to see, you could go see shows. They have they have a jousting show, I think. No, that might be Orlando. No, they got whatever you want to see in Vegas. You could usually find it. You could go into high-rise hotel buildings and ride roller coasters that are attached to the building outside, and would scare the daylights out of you because you're so many floors up and you're on the outside. I never did it, but people love that. They have a death wish and they enjoy doing things like that. I don't. It's stuff like that. But it's so nice here because Christmas is completely uneventful. it's like it didn't happen. And this is the only country in the world that recognizes the Sabbath. The only country in the world, the only one. They don't observe it entirely correctly, but they observe it. And yeah, so it's really nice. Thanksgiving just passes without anything, you know. Nobody here is worried about the pilgrims and the settlers from Europe, you know, they don't even know what you're talking about, you know. And Christmas is nothing here. And New Year's they celebrate. It's about half as popular as it is in America, maybe less even. It's the religious people don't pay much attention to New Year. They don't. So the secular people get into it, which is maybe half of Israel. And out of the half of those secular people, maybe only half of that half even pay attention to it. Really, that's about it. What kind of people have left Israel when the war broke out? Well, normally they would be people that have no faith. They're not Orthodox, not ultra-Orthodox, not Messianic, nothing. They just leave. You know? They don't want to be here. A lot of the secular Jews believe that one day you'll wake up and there'll be no more Israel. They believe that. Okay? So, you know, it's a weird assortment of things here, but let me see what's going on in the news, if anything has happened with Trump. The Israelis told Vance that Hamas can reach 10 of the 13 remaining dead hostages, and apparently that's a way of saying they don't want to give them back. Eh. I'm not seeing anything here. See if anything's happening. No, they're not going to report anything. Let me try this. No, they're saying Gaza is struggling to identify the bodies. Maybe it's true. They might be trying to get the bodies back. I don't know. It says that Trump terminated all trade talk with Canada. See, the guy's he's not good. He's alienating neighbors, Mexico, Canada. He's not making friends with anybody. He's not doing the art of the deal and persuading them to work with America. He's just alienating them. That's not good. They're like children, these people that serve Satan, seriously, and Trump's no different. He's like a child, a big child, a spoiled child. Let's see if I can pick up any other changes going on here. If there are any, it may not be. Let's see. Trump may explode at Israel and enhance the threats against us. It's entirely possible that he does that. Let's see. Trump says that soon they're going to attack, they're going to be working on the ground against the drug cartels. He didn't especially say Venezuela. He said, we have informed the Senate and Congress about this. Okay. I'm going to take a break for a second. I'll be right back. The word Antichrist means against the Messiah, Yeshua. Trump's an Antichrist. Not the Antichrist, one of them. Trump thinks he can do whatever he wants with Israel. He's wrong. Watch. The end of America approaches quickly. Six Syrian asylum seekers arrested for gang raping a 17-year-old girl in Heinsberg, Germany. Nice, huh? Clearing Gaza's surface of bombs will take up to 30 years, an aid group says. Reuters published this. Actually, it said 20 to 30 years to clear it of unexploded ordnance, so that would be Israeli and Hamas ordnance. So I guess Israel has ordnance that wasn't so good it didn't explode. A journalist asked Trump a question. He said, the West Bank. Trump's response, don't worry about the West Bank. Israel will not do anything with the West Bank, okay? They won't do anything. So, if you think Israel's going to do anything with the West Bank, like claim it, you should worry. That's the Satanist talking. That's not somebody who fears God. Let's take a look at gold and see if they drove gold under 4,000 yet. They're trying to. Maybe they did. It won't stay down, but let's see. No, it's actually climbing a little bit. 4,093. And silver's 48.22. So it looks like it's going back up a little bit again. It's really hard to run it down because the people have no confidence in the countries and their paper money anymore. So it's really running down. Let's see what's going on, if I'm getting any questions in the live stream. Trump wants to build a golf course. What Trump wants to build in Gaza Strip is a massive amount of resort hotels with gambling and prostitution, obscene shows and everything like that. That's what Trump wants. Congress should be authorizing tariffs. What is Congress doing? What is next? In the after the BBB? I don't know what the BBB is. Argentina has cheap Christmas trees. Yeah, but how are you going to get them up to America? I don't know what you spend for Christmas trees. I know that in America, maybe 30 years ago, they would be $25 to $40 for a good tree. I don't know what they are today. Probably $100 or something. I don't know. No idea. But I have no interest in buying one. It's pagan. Don't you know the Bible tells you not to do it? That's why they did it. Don't you know that? Okay, you go to Jeremiah 10. What verse? That's $1 million question. I don't know. Let me see. looking for the verse. I think it's earlier in the chapter. Let's find it. It's in here somewhere. We'll find it. All right, it's at the beginning. Let's start with Jeremiah 10, verse 1. Hear you the word which Jehovah, speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Jehovah, learn not the way of the heathen. There you are, see? Christmas trees. Not Easter, that. Not the way, Thanksgiving too. Not the way of the heathen. And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest. Christmas tree, one cutteth a tree out of the forest. The work of the hands of the workman with the axe, or the chainsaw today. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They cut the tree out of the forest with the axe, so to speak. They put that tinsel stuff, silver and gold, all over the tree. It's dead on. It's like Satan's church took it out of the Bible to make a sin on the people and taught them to do this. Or maybe the other way around, I don't know. And what about the hammer? Well, they take on the bottom of the Christmas tree, they take a cross piece of wood and they hammer the tree or the wood pieces into the tree. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born. In other words, have to carry them, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. The tree can't do anything. For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Jehovah, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. Who would not fear thee, King of nations, or Goyim? For to thee doth it appertain, for as much as among all the wise men of the nations, and in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto thee. But they are altogether brutish, and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. Silver spread into plates is brought from Tarshish, and gold from Upnaz, Upaz, the work of the workman and of the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men. But Jehovah is the true God. Let's just, Emet, let me check the word. Emet, yeah, okay. Emet Elohim. It's saying Jehovah Emet Elohim. Jehovah in truth is God. He is the living Elohim God and an everlasting King. At his wrath, the earth shall tremble, and the heathens shall not be able to abide his anger, his indignation. Thus shall you say unto them, the God that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish. Thus, I'll start again in verse 11. So it says, thus shall you say unto them, the gods that, let me check that word. No, I can say gods. Okay, the gods, with small g, that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. He hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by wisdom, and hath stretched out the heavens by his discretion. So for somebody out there who knows who they are, I want to remind them of this scripture. It's Jeremiah 10, verse 11. Thus all you say unto them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. So they go kaputsky. So it says the word perish is Hebrews number 7, about, could be vanish and perish. Okay. This is verse 12. He hath made, speaking of Jehovah, the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heavens by his discretion. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of the treasures. So this sort of kills the idea of CERN and these other things controlling the weather. He causes the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightning with rain. He makes the rain and the lightning, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. It's not CERN, it's God. God didn't give the power to that machine. Every man is brutish in his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. Confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. That's right. They are vanity and the work of errors in the time the portion of Yaakov is not like them, for that's Israel, the 12 tribes, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Jehovah of hosts is his name. Gather up thy wares out of the land, O inhabitant of the fortress. For thus saith Jehovah, behold, I will sling out, throw out, the inhabitants of the land at this once, and will distress them, that they may find it so. Woe is me, for my hurt, my wound is grievous, but I said, truly this is a grief. Let's see where we're at. Woe is me, for my hurt, my wound is grievous, but I said, truly this is a grief, and I must bear it. That's Hosea 6:1-2. And that's us saying we gotta bear this, what's going on. That's us too. My tabernacle is spoiled, and all my cords are broken. My children are gone forth of me, and they are not. There is none to stretch forth my tent anymore, and to set up my curtains. For the pastors are become brutish, there you go, and have not sought Jehovah. There you go. Therefore they shall not prosper, and all their flocks shall be scattered. I think he's speaking of Israel here. Behold, the noise of the brute. Let me check this word. The noise of the report is come, and a great commotion out of the north country, to make the cities of Judah desolate, and a den of dragons. Oh Lord, now that's happened already. That's not going to happen now. That's the past. Oh Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. The way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps. He's saying man doesn't know how to guide himself. They do if they read the Bible. Oh, and they obey it. Oh Lord, you know, the word is a lamp unto my feet. So if you study the Bible, it shows you the way to walk. So if you do that, you're okay. You pray and you read the word, and, you should be okay. But anyway, let's keep going. Oh Lord, correct me, but with judgment, not in thine anger, lest thou bring me to nothing. So I believe having the Holy Spirit, of course, would lead you also. But they didn't have that back in the days of the Old Testament. The only people that would have the Holy Spirit would be the high priest and the prophets and the king. That would be it. The high priest was one, the king is one, and the prophet maybe was more than one, but it wasn't more than maybe 2 or 3 at a time or something, or 4. Oh Lord, correct me, but with judgment, not in thine anger, lest thou bring me to nothing. Pour out thy fury upon the heathen, amen, that know thee not, and upon the families that call not on thy name, for they have eaten up Jacob, and devoured him, and consumed him, and have made his habitation desolate. Well, that was in the past, and that's a long time ago. But we're back in the land, and, that was for a different era. So, it's just kind of funny how so much is in the Bible when you know how to look for it, How do Christians interpret Gentiles? The word for Gentile is goyim in the plural, goy in the singular. And it means one or those without God. It means without God. Frequently, the Bible refers to the 10 lost tribes, as people like to call it, as goyim, because they're lost, they're without God. Okay? Being in the church doesn't mean you're with God. I think you should know that. First Kings 4:26, 40,000 stalls of horses. Second Chronicles, 4,000 stalls of horses. Malachi, Jacob begot Joseph. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Moses was chosen. Yeshua told his disciples, he says, don't think you chose me, I chose you. God the Father drew them to Yeshua. That's how that works. He draws them to who he wants them to be drawn, well, to Yeshua. You're not going to come to Yeshua unless the Father draw you to him. That's the reality of that. Okay. So, if I were you and Halloween comes and they're going to plague you with the knocking on the door and wanting the candy and you were going to stay in your house, I would shut most of the lights off and I would take in some good adhesive tape or masking tape or duct tape and put about 5 or 6 layers over the doorbell, which sends a clear signal you don't want them ringing the doorbell. Shut all the lights off and ignore them. Okay? Or go out of the house. Go to the mall. Walk around. Get yourself something to eat if you want. A food court or whatever. Find something to do. And usually it's a school night, so usually I'd say by 7:30, 8 o'clock, the kids stop. If I remember correctly, they start about 3:30, 4 o'clock. But I think by 7:30 to 8 o'clock, the majority of these kids are done. And then you could, relax. They're not going to keep coming around. Christmas, I would not observe Christmas. What can you do over Christmas? You could do anything you do on a regular day. I mean, what do you just don't do Christmas. You live your day. I don't know, what would you want to do? Most places the work is closed. So you stay home. I don't know, stay in bed or whatever you want to do. I broadcast on Christmas, listen to me. And I don't do a Christmas broadcast, I wouldn't go to church for any reason ever. Or synagogue. Or Messianic congregations. I don't bother with all those. They're all no good. If Satan had, he puts his people in charge of those. That's it. So, you can do whatever you want on Christmas. If you want to work, you can work. As long as it's not a Sabbath, work. Can you go out to eat on Christmas? Yeah, I think some restaurants are open. Some closed, some are open. There was restaurants, Boston something, they sold chicken or something like that. I don't remember. They used to be open. I don't know. McDonald's, I think, is open. I don't know. I'm not current on these things. The TV works. The internet works. You could go visit friends. There's things you could do. Yeah. It's not a great idea to do traveling because everything's expensive on Christmas. And, that's when your kids get off from school. It used to be years ago, you could take your kid out of school if you wanted to and they were a good student and the teachers didn't care. But now they don't get enough money because every time you take the kid out of school, they don't get paid for the kid, and oh man, they're nasty about that because they need money, and they just really come after you for that. Boy, they really come after you. So they hate it when you do that. So you can't go away and stay home on the holiday. You got to go away on the holiday, and they charge crazy prices. The airlines, the hotels, everything. It's a holiday, we'll charge more, and they punish you, you know. It's hard living in every country because Satan's the head of every country, so it's all hard. Okay, so let's pray. My Heavenly Father, Jehovah in heaven, I pray for all the true believers and their kids, their families, their households, me and my wife, that we have your peace, safety, protection, joy, and healing. Your healing and recuperative power would flow through our bodies, and we would keep getting healed, and we have strength, stamina, and endurance, and we would be happy, healthy, and whole, and safe and secure, and our animals and pets would be safe and secure and happy, healthy, and whole. And we have no accidents, no tickets, no breakdowns, no getting stopped, stuck, or stranded with any car or transportation vehicle. And I pray we have adequate money and then some, and I pray you loose from us all the works of Satan and the demons and those that serve the demons, no matter what they be, you lift these works off us and all the discrimination they do against us. And I pray for our peace and joy and calm and rest and outpouring of the Holy Spirit. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, I submit this prayer and binding and loosing to you, mostly loosing, not binding, my Heavenly Father, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you can agree with that if you like. And I also bind all you unclean spirits from remaining inside any person who discriminates against the true believer in Yeshua HaMashiach. I command you to depart from any person the very instant they discriminate against a true believer or pick on a true believer or act harshly against a true believer because he's a true believer. And I bind you unclean spirits from remaining in this person. Once they do that, you have to immediately depart from this person and never return unto them again. And these commands are set in place now for 5 years continuously. This binding's in place beginning now, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach, and you can agree with this. So whenever they start trying to do anything to you, the demon has to go out of them. That's going to stop it. And I further bind you to not continue with that evil work once the unclean spirit is taken out or thrown out of the person, and that also applies for 5 years continuously, beginning now, B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. Now, like I told you yesterday, if anybody's bothering you, neighbors, co-workers, anybody, governments, businesses, will unleash everybody against them with spiritual warfare. Or if somebody's cutting you off or harassing you on the roads, get their license plate number and we'll take care of that too. We'll go after them, the group, you know. Some business is taking advantage of you and cheating you or gypping you, we'll go after that person. And we can do all these things. You just got to tell us and use it. We're like a club, like a group. We're not a congregation yet. We're too far apart, but it's starting. And we agree, and then the binding and the loosing and the prayers get way more powerful. Even the demon tossing and agreeing, it could be more powerful, although you don't need it, because it says in Mark 16:17, these signs shall follow those that believe in my name, they shall cast out devils. So you can do that by yourself. You don't need the group, but with the binding and the loosing in the case of the kingdom, it's better to do it in a group. So that's what I got, and I send my Shabbat Shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out. Okay, thank you.